What up, Laker family? It's your boy DTLF back with another video. Wow, what a press conference, man! I'm talking. If I had to grade this press conference, it would be an A plus. Uh, this man just hit a grand slam on his first day as a Laker head coach, and I will break it all down for you guys. I definitely wrote some notes. You got to, man. There was a lot to be decompressed here, and he basically touched on everything we wanted to know. And I think he answered a lot of people's who were still skeptics after the hiring questions. Um, you gotta love every single aspect of what he broke down. He literally knows his X's and O's better than any coach I've heard since probably Phil Jackson as a Laker coach. And his confidence, and he has a very commanding presence, but calm presence, but commanding for sure. It's really refreshing, guys, as a head coach. You can tell he's going to take full command of this locker room, and the players respect him. I mean, even Russell Westbrook was present. So that tells you something. That means he has the locker room's command already from day one. That's huge. Now, I want to talk about what he said. I also want to talk about Wallace, man. I want to talk about Rasheed Wallace joining the Lakers coaching staff as an assistant coach. That's huge to me. First, I want to break that down before I even get into what Darvin Ham said. Listen, Rasheed Wallace is an assistant coach. We're talking about one of the better 6'11", 6'10" bigs who can knock down shots, was super skilled from the post, and was an excellent defender. This guy's going to be a huge addition once it becomes official. It's unofficial yet. They asked Darvin Ham about Rasheed. He said he likes coaches that like to roll up their sleeves, right? That's what he told the Lakers organization. So that's why I think they're going to bring in Rasheed Wallace. Again, unofficial yet. Shams hasn't confirmed that it's official, but I think they have verbally agreed to something based on the reports. I'm very excited about that, guys. This offseason keeps getting better and better and better. Talk about blue-collar guys that like to come in and work hard and are going to command respects of this locker room. I'll tell you what, Russell Westbrook better not get out of line, or Rasheed Wallace is going to smack him right upside the head and replace that bald patch with some of Russ's head, some of Russ's hair, man. I'm telling you right now, these coaches will not be pushovers from the get, all right? And that's just the beginning of the assistant coaching staff. Who else is going to bring in? Like, what's next? Meta World Peace? I don't know, guys. But I'm very excited for this development this morning, all right? The Lakers are doing it the right way. They're allowing Darvin to pick his own coaching staff. They're bringing in a guy who's put in the work around the league, somebody who already has a respect of probably most of the NBA. And somebody who has a plan according to himself, right? Based off of this press conference. So I'm going to get to the comment sections, but before I do that, I definitely want to break down everything Darvin said, and I have his quotes here. And again, I had to make notes because there's so much to decompress. All right, let's start off with him talking about his experience as a blue-collar guy, and how he never cut corners as a player, how that has translated to his ability to pay attention to detail and basically make everybody accountable from 1 through 15, right, on a roster. So what I think about that is, if you notice, most of the best coaches around the league were never superstars. How many superstar beast coaches do you guys know, right? How many superstar ex-coaches in the league have dominated, right? Magic Johnson was a coach for the Lakers, not a very good one. Maybe because superstars are so gifted and so talented that at times they can be known to skip practices, cut corners, and stuff like that. If you notice, some of these best coaches, we're talking about the Monty Williams, the Ty Lues, the Doc Rivers of the world. These were all role players. There never were superstars or all-stars in their career, right, for the most part. So the Steve Kerrs of the world, guys like that. So he fits right into that description. Darvin Ham was a very good role player in his career, very athletic, played excellent defense. He was also part of that unfortunate Detroit Pistons squad that beat us in 2004. So is Rasheed. So they're building something really special here. All right, I love when he talked about the young core and how, even more so than the superstars, he can't wait. He anticipates developing the young guys like AR, THT, even talk about Stanley Johnson. So that really got me hyped because I wanted a coach that could not only command the respect of a locker room, but will focus on getting the best out of the youth. And Darvin seems to be doing that. Now, we don't know if any of the assistant coaching staff, Phil Handy, will come back, but this is already a good start as far as that goes. My boy said Ham about to go ham. Darvin Ham is that guy. Yes, he looks fearless, man, very confident, and that instills confidence into your players, right? What they talk about having the identity of your head coach taken after that. So if this team buys in, which it looks like they already are, is going to do wonders for the Lakers. He said, when they said they're looking at the young coaches already under contract, LOL, I was like, damn, he was supposed to say that. That is true, but he's very outspoken. And you know what, Tara, you got to love the way this man he came clean about everything. And again, I'm in my notes, I'm going to break it all down, but I want you guys to chime in real quick. My boy said, this is one of those moments when I'm truly all in for Darvin Ham to be our head coach for the long run after the Big Three era. Absolutely, bro. And if you notice, this is what I realized about him. He's planting seeds in all the right areas, right? He talked about the Darvin Ham era. He literally said the Darvin Ham era. You got to be extremely confident to call an era after yourself. This man said that they're building the foundation around Anthony Davis. All right, that tells you everything you need to know. Anthony Davis is still a superstar in this league. He's the youngest of our other two, right? Of all three of our guys. He's the youngest, and he said basically it needs to start with him on defense, consistency. He talked about that, and him staying healthy. So he said that era is really going to depend on Anthony Davis. A lot of people have already talked about this Rasheed Wallace hiring. It could be strategic, right? Bring him in, work with him to give him more confidence in the paint, because sometimes he settles too much for jump shots. Maybe Rasheed Wallace will help him toughen up and go back to old New Orleans Pelicans, a.k.a. Bubble Anthony Davis, because that version is unstoppable. We unlocked that version. And also Darvin talked about the comparing and contrasting, how there's not too many differences between Giannis and AD. So if Darvin can help bring out the best in AD, same thing with Rasheed Wallace and whoever else they had on the coaching staff, seems like that's going to be the focal point. And I liked how direct he was, immediately saying everybody's going to take accountability. All right. He said, he's not here to hold nobody's hands. He talks about, he said LA was always special to him, right? This is like a homecoming to him. So he's really excited to be here. He knows about the winning culture. I told you guys, whoever we hire needs to be ready for all the pressure. This guy was built for it. He talked about how he got shot in the face before by accident. I didn't even know that about him. And he said that either makes you scared or stronger. And he became stronger from it and fearless. He's like, this is just basketball. We understand we need to bring this tradition back to the winning culture that it's used to. And that's what he's here for, right? Another thing he said was he talked about being a well-rounded coach, offensive and defense. And this is another thing I've always told you guys. We didn't need a defensive specialist like Frank Vogel who only focuses on defense, because when that fails, everybody was blaming the roster. All right, what happened to that majestic coaching? Oh, we don't have the right guys. No, we have plenty of defenders. It's just they weren't buying whatever he was selling. I told you guys this for the longest. Now, he was known as a defensive coach. Darvin Ham is ahead of his time, man. He talked about how he doesn't want to get pegged in as either a defensive or offensive coach. He said the defense will spark the offense and so on and so forth. He also talked about the new offense he's going to run. Again, it's insane how much he just let us know right off the top. This is how you know he's very confident. He's going to run the 4-out, 1-in style. All right, and I quote, this is what he said: 4-out, 1-in style. For those of you that don't know what it is, all right, it's similar to the triangle, but not quite. The 4-out, 1-in style, for you 2K players know what it is when you have 4 shooters on the outside and 1 player dominating in the post. It's very similar to the way they played in Milwaukee, but in Milwaukee, they played the 5-out style, right? But the 4-in, we're going to count on AD to be the bruiser down low, probably. So this means he might slide over to the 5. Or this could also mean we could get somebody from free agency who's not really a shooter. He'll be the one doing the dirty work down low in the paint, and then you'll have those other 4 guys spacing the floor. He said it's going to help our spacing tremendously. All right, this is why I had to take notes, just to remember every little detail. I'm a big fan of the 4-out, 1-in style. I'm an even bigger fan of the 5-out style, but you need to have Steph Curry, Klay Thompson type players to run that offense. At least with the 4-out, 1-in style, you can afford to have one guy who's not a floor spacer, right? So it gives you the best of both worlds. You're gonna have somebody doing the dirty work, maybe getting second chance rebounds, all that kind of stuff, down low in the paint, and then you got your floor spacers out there. So I am very curious to see how we surround the current talent we have. And I'm going to get to the Russell Westbrook situation in just a little bit. But before I continue with my notes, let's see what you guys have to say. He says, salute, Dan. I like the info from Darvin Ham. I like the confidence from him. Yeah, man. This is why a lot of us were extremely excited. All the positive feedback we're hearing from this coach seems to be just he was born for this role. It just seems tailor-made for him. And so I'm really excited. Now, I'm gonna answer your question, Savage, about that, about the whole Russell Westbrook, because he said, Dan, how do you run a 4-out, 1-in with a point guard that can't shoot? I'm gonna answer your question really quick. So they asked him about Russell Westbrook and where is he gonna start, right? Is he gonna start or not? Notice how he didn't commit to saying he was a starter. What he said is he's had extensive conversations with Russ where they talked about sacrificing for the team. He's talking about how LeBron, AD, everybody has to sacrifice, even if it means sacrificing stats and playing team ball. He also talked about Russ not being a bum, right? He said he still has a lot left in the tank, but he has to focus primarily on defense. So this is what I think is going to happen with Russ. Based on what he said, he didn't commit to him being a starter. He didn't say Russ is our starter. The way he answered the question was, we're open to anything. However, if players have to sacrifice, there was a term here he used. I wrote it, facts over feelings. All right, facts over feelings means you might have to accept the fact that you might have to come off the bench. All right, that was directed towards Russ, but he made sure he didn't throw any indirect so nobody gets offended. But facts over feelings, I love that quote, because the fact of the matter is, if he's going to run that 4-out, 1-in offense, Russ might have to come off the bench to sacrifice. Russ was there present. So he even gave a smirk when he talked about that facts over feelings thing, because there's some truth to it, right? If the shoe fits. Now, the season might start off with Russ at the starting point guard, but as we progress, we all know that's not going to work. I'm sure Darvin's going to be able to make the adjustments, bring him off the bench, or stagger his minutes between him and LeBron. One thing I know for sure is that Darvin ain't, again, facts over feelings. He ain't holding nobody's hand. This man is here as the real leader of Los Angeles. He's going to take full command of this locker room, and he's going to make sure that we play the best available players at the moment. So this is why I love what he said about Austin Reeves and those guys, because he's been watching us, guys. He knows what we have on the roster, and that's good news for the young talent as well. That means whoever plays better is probably going to get the bulk of the minutes, and this is the kind of coach I love. Reward the players that are giving you the best effort, aren't pouting, hanging their head, and complaining about minutes, right? So Russ got to get with the program. Apparently, they already had extensive conversations. That's great news for us Laker fans, because we all know that Russ clearly still has talent. But if we want to maximize that talent, in my opinion, he's so much better if he comes off the bench and embraces a six-man role. That doesn't mean he won't get 30 minutes a night. It just means that he might have more of a rhythm if the ball's in his hands rather than LeBron James's hands. Because we know in the starting lineup, LeBron is the main go-to, right? So that's what I got out of that. He did not commit to starting Russ. Now, that might change later on down the future, but as of right now, what he brought, man, it's spectacular. How he just basically laid all the cards out on the table and said, this is what we're going to do. No nonsense, BS. We're going to get blue-collar assistant coaches that roll up their sleeves and get ready to work. And that's exactly what Darvin was talking about. Now, he also talked about helping take some of the load off of LeBron's shoulders and, lessen the wear and tear. He's getting older, even though he's been spectacular. A lot of coaches have talked about that. Let's see how he's able to do that as the year progresses. That's going to be huge for us. Again, so pretty much that wraps it up for my notes. The most important thing I got out of this whole thing, though, personally, guys, is that this man has been dying for an opportunity to be a Lakers head coach, and that's exactly the type of person we needed to hire. And he has a plan. He talked about having a plan and executing it and progressing daily, right? Because he talked about how a lot of coaches say stuff, but it doesn't come to fruition. I felt like that was like a subliminal shot at the inconsistency that Frank Vogel brought to this team last year. Last year, Frank Vogel didn't have a set lineup. This guy talking about having a plan and sticking to it so that there's some camaraderie so that the team can gel and the team can get better on the daily. I loved hearing that. That was all music to my ears, guys. What'd you guys get out of this press conference? I want to know what Laker Nation thought, man. I really want to know what you guys really thought of Darvin. I thought he exceeded my expectations as far as what I wanted to hear and what I heard. So he answered all my questions personally and then some. Now, what do you guys think? My boy says Russ needs to concentrate on defense, period. No shooting. If the fool misses dunks, he said he can't shoot. Bring it on with defense. I do agree with you, bro. And that's something Darvin talked about. He extensively, expressed how the team needs to focus on defense first, right? Before anything. So, people were wondering what type of coach is going to be. Yes, he's a defensive-minded coach, but he's also an offensive-minded coach. So he's both, according to him, and from what I believe he will become. I think, listen, It's not a really high bar to set when I say I believe this will be the best coach since Phil Jackson. All right, and people were going crazy when I tweeted that. It's talking about, oh, that's a high expectation. It is a high expectation. We always have high expectations here. But the reason I say that, yes, Frank Vogel helped win a championship, but remember, Jason Kidd, Lionel Hollins, also part of that staff. When I'm talking about best since Phil Jackson, I'm talking about somebody that has a plan, somebody that's going to execute, somebody who knows their X's and O's as both a player and a coach, has put in the work, and somebody's going to take command of the locker room. I do believe he's going to be the best since Phil. So, and I'm not saying he'll be the next Phil Jackson, but I'm saying since Phil, that gap of coaches we had, Mike Brown, Mike D'Antoni, Frank Vogel, all these guys we had in between, I think he will best all of them, right? He said, imagine if Ham also gets Wallace too. It's going to happen most likely. I mean, it was reported by Shams today that they had agreed on a contract, but then he kind of backpedaled on that. I just think it's unofficial what the terms are, but I do believe that, yes, Rasheed Wallace. Well, you're talking about Ben Wallace? Wait. Let me reread that. Oh, Ben Wallace. Okay, my bad. I got confused with Rasheed. No, Ben Wallace. I hated these guys on Detroit, but this would be a nice way for them to repay back that championship they stole from us in 2004, man. So I'm open to anything. I would also like Meta World Peace on this coaching staff. I know people think he's something, but he's very tough-minded, and I think players respect him as well. The theme here with this coaching staff so far has been respect, right? These players did not respect Frank Vogel. They were stepping all over him. Sometimes they didn't even want to come to the huddle. Sometimes they looked disengaged. Coach really couldn't speak his mind. Nah, that's not going to happen with this coaching staff. Like, again, facts over feelings. I love that quote, and that's probably going to be the quote of all summer long and even headed into the season. That's something they have to, adopt. Facts over feelings. The fact of the matter is, if you're more detrimental in hurting the team than helping, then you're probably going to end up riding the end of the pine. And I hope he sticks with that. He said, Darvin Ham's going to change that diva culture. Yes, sir. Yes. And you know what? I promise you, when we're down 20, there's not going to be no dancing and bullshit like that with Darvin Ham around. I promise you that. I'd be shocked if these guys are still dancing. They probably might be off the team the next day, after we're down 20. So it should be fun just to watch it all unravel and start building a brand new culture, a winning culture, because I told you we needed to fire Frank because he had the stench of losing and making that seem okay, right? Not this coach. This coach is letting you know what the expectations are. He knows he's been here before as an assistant. He's worked with the best of the best. He's worked with Kobe. He's worked with Giannis. He's worked with some of the all-stars around the league. And again, that experience is tremendous, when it comes to, having those notches under your belt. So he said, Dan, so we aren't trading Westbrook. Nothing is set in stone. If something comes along, it might still happen. But as of right now, it looks like they're going to incorporate him into whatever we're going to run. Now, whether he starts the season or comes off the bench, I much prefer him coming off the bench. But we'll see what Coach Darvin Ham decides to do. One thing I know for sure, with this coach, you're not going to have a 10-game slump where he allows, a DeAndre Jordan type player or a Russell Westbrook type to keep starting and finishing games if they're not doing it the right way. They're not putting the team first and playing smart basketball. So remember this. Last year, there was a stretch when LeBron got injured and AD got injured, when Russ was actually playing the right way. He wasn't turning the ball over as much. He was averaging over 10 assists, over 20 points, and doing it efficiently. And what that opened my eyes to is that he's still capable of playing high, effective basketball when he wants. And that's the key right there. If they have a coach they respect, they're going to play their heart out for him. They're going to play the right way. I wholeheartedly believe that, So what that opened my eyes to is Russ could be tremendous off the bench. He could be the ultimate sixth man if he just becomes unselfish and learns to sacrifice. If not, he's going to end up playing for China or something in a couple years, man. If he still thinks he's Oklahoma City Russell Westbrook, there's only so many teams that are going to take that BS. Once he gets cut from a roster, who knows if he even gets a new contract. Remember what they did to Allen Iverson? After he didn't want to come off the bench for the Memphis Grizzlies, they cut him. Nobody else picked him up. I felt bad for my man AI, man. The legendary answer was not able to retire the right way, in my opinion. But it was because he couldn't put that ego to the side, man. I'm sure if he can go back and do it all over again, he would. He's a great guy. Allen Iverson, one of my favorite players of all time. He's also a very great guy off the court, role model to a lot of kids. Love Allen Iverson. Russ got to learn from the previous NBA players' mistakes. Carmelo Anthony had to learn the hard way. A lot of teams didn't want to give him an opportunity. He ended up going to Portland. Thank God they gave him an opportunity, carved out his niche, and all of a sudden teams wanted him again. But it's one of those things that as you start to decline, you have to either change your game for the betterment of the team or sacrifice and come off the bench. Hey, Dan, what about Nunn? Do you think he will be back and start Nunn and let Russ come off the bench? I have no clue what's going on with Nunn. Rumor has it he's going to opt into his contract because of the injury, right? So he gets a secured $5 million for sure. We don't know how bad that injury is or if it's even going to linger into next season. So I'm not putting no expectations on Kendrick Nunn. But I am curious to see how we fill out the rest of the roster because I'm sure Darvin Ham's going to have a huge input on what who we go out and acquire this summer. And I'm sure we're going to have plenty of options. By the looks of it, man, this coach is very popular around the league. And Kuz was tweeting the fire emojis when we hired Rasheed Wallace. So there's going to be some interest among some free agents, and I'll be interested to see which ones we pick. He said either Russ or THT will be traded before the deadline for sure. It'll be interesting what happens there. Listen, it could even be this offseason, once Russ opts in, maybe then they'll have a plan. But I don't know. Look, all I know is that I'm curious to see how Darvin uses the pieces we already have on the roster and the newcomers, right? Those are all going to be intriguing questions moving forward with the season. But again, if he really lives up to his slogan, facts over feelings, and that means he's going to play whoever's better over whoever's feelings get hurt. I mean, he's warning them with that quote. He's letting them know, listen, I don't care if your feelings get hurt, but I'm going to go with the facts. I'm going with whatever gives me the best opportunity to win as a head coach and my team to win as an individual, as a collective unit, right? He talked about unity. And that's what I told you guys last year. We weren't playing like a team. Last year, we were playing like a bunch of individual talented players that were all trying to get their stats and didn't care about the season. That's not acceptable anytime you're a Laker. Andre Drummond said it best. We're different. We love our team. We Laker fans are the best in the world. We love our team like no other. Does that make us a little delusional at times? Yes. Does that make us a little loopy and crazy? Yes, myself included. But it's because we love our team so much. I mean, think about it, man. We've been eliminated for what? A month, 2 months already? Feels like forever, an eternity. I lost count. And I'm still dropping content. You guys are still tuning in because we're addicted to the purple and gold, man. You can't say that about too many fan bases. There's a couple other ones that I respect. But again, the best fans in the world, we care about our team. And if you don't bring your best, you don't put your best foot forward to help our roster, whether you're a coach, front office executive, or player, they're going to run you out of town. And so you have to have thick skin. You have to be different to play here because, yes, we care about our team a lot. A lot. He said, hey, brother, sorry, just tuning in. Can I get a 30-second recap? Thanks. Darvin Ham, if you have not watched that Darvin Ham post conference or should I say introduction conference, go ahead and check that out. That's going to give you the recap you need. But I'm going to say he got an A+ for me first day on the job. The passion is there. The basketball IQ is there. The command is there. I mean, the way they gave him a round of applause, and it wasn't it wasn't commanded. Like they didn't tell him to applaud. We weren't holding up a sign to say everybody applaud. No. This was legit. The media giving him a welcome because he knocked it out the park, man. I'm telling you, I wish the season started tomorrow. That's how excited he got me. Like I put it on my "You Got Banners" shirt, Lakers shirt, man. That's how excited I am, even though we're not even in the finals. So. Yeah, the 30-second recap is Darvin Ham is going to be a beast, a monster. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say he might be the best coach since Phil Jackson to coach the Lakers. So that's high praise on my part because, as we know, Frank Vogel and Jason Kidd already won a championship since then. So he's going to have to win a championship to fulfill my praise. And then he might have to do a little bit more to get to where I think he can get. But, again, he mentioned it. There's no pressure for him. He said, if LeBron doesn't sign an extension in the offseason in August, do you believe he's gone in free agency to play with Bronny? I do. I do think LeBron has been a mercenary type superstar He might, you know what? Not might. He is the most talented mercenary superstar we've ever seen, ever. I'm talking about he played with more than 2 teams. Jordan doesn't count. He only played with one other team, and that season doesn't count. All right, the Wizards. But LeBron James actually is the greatest mercenary we've ever seen. He went to Miami, 1-2 there, came back to Cleveland, 1-1 there, came to Los Angeles, 1-1 here. Nobody's ever done that with 3 different teams. So I do believe he's capable of going to another team that drafts Bronny. He's already said there's no secret that he wants to play with his son. So that's a high probability, and it wouldn't make sense for him to keep his options open. I'd be more shocked if he signed an extension because he's happy in the direction the Lakers are going. Unless the Lakers give him a promise that they're going to do everything in their power to sign Bronny or draft him or whatever the case may be. I don't know how talented he'll be in college or high school or whatever. But yeah, depending on what happens there. But most likely he's going to keep his options open for that same purpose. Rasheed Wallace is a great hire as well. Yes, I was excited. I almost did a live stream alone for that news, but I was like, no. Just save it so you can have enough to talk about after the press conference with Darvin Ham. So yeah, I saved that. I bit my tongue for a little bit for a couple hours. But I'm extremely excited for Rasheed. What he could do potentially with Anthony Davis, him and Darvin Ham and the rest of the coaching staff could be tremendous. We might be unlocking the best version of Anthony Davis yet. And that would be huge for the Lakers, because if he dominates, we saw when he's healthy, athletic, skinny, he's a force. I mean, he blocks shots left and right from the weak side. He's a guy who can crash the glass. He's somebody who can score from anywhere on the floor. I mean, he is a superstar for a reason. He's not a regular all-star. There's a difference, guys. There's only a handful of superstars in this league. And that's why I always say I would not trade Anthony Davis unless the package is really blowing me out of the water. But yeah, I'm so glad we're holding on to him so far. And I can't wait to see what this coaching staff does with him moving forward. But he's going to have to stay healthy. That's the bottom line. If he gets injured again, then there goes our season, because there's no way we can win a championship without a healthy Anthony Davis. And that's the bottom line. He said, I know. Hold up. He said he will play one more year. Remember, Bronny will only be in college after next year. I'm guessing a 1-1. That could happen as well. But, whatever the decision he decides to do, I support it. Because even if he leaves us, it'll hurt. Obviously, we're losing a mega star. But he already helped deliver at least one title here. So I'm forever, eternally grateful. He really changed his perspective of me. Like, I changed my perspective of him, since he got to LA. A lot of superstars were scared, to come here. Kawhi, Paul George, they were scared to come to the Lakers. They went to the shadow franchise. It was a weak sauce move, right? Not a lot of players are built the way LeBron is built to be able to come here and help us, help lead us to another title was huge. So my respect was already up here, but it just grew tremendously since he joined. So you know what, whatever he decides to do, man, I support it, but I'm glad my Lakers will have at least cap space and flexibility. So we win either way. If he stays, we win because we stay competitive. If he goes, we win because we'll have cap space and flexibility. And I'm sure with this new coaching hire, Anthony Davis in place with a contract, and the organization going in a good direction, is going to have a lot of free agents' attention. So he said, who are my last message? Once again, so true. Laker fans have a different expectation of the team compared to other fans of the team in the NBA. Oh, yeah. We're the best of the best, Jameson. You know what's up, man. Does she still have a piece of gum stuck to his head? That's messed up, Martin. Listen, Rasheed Wallace, man, once he becomes an official head coach, I'm going to be super excited for that, because even though I hated him as a player, he's always been tough and skilled. And he brings some of that knowledge and experience and championship experience to this team. Same thing with Darv. And that's all good. And that's all a plus. And again, these coaches are no pushovers. So good luck to anybody trying to step out of line. All right. Good luck. Yeah, thanks for the shout out. When did I shout you out? Shout out to Hail Heat, man. Yeah, I don't think I shouted you out, bro. Did I? At least not today. He said, Dan, I want Cam Reddish. I feel like he's not being used right. Can still be good young player. Yeah, those Duke products always seem to pan out sooner or later. I would not mind Cam Reddish, to be honest with you. I definitely like the size that he has, his wingspan, his athleticism, his ability to score, and he has great defensive potential. But he's still, like you said, young and underdeveloped. Kind of he might be able to bring some of what Trevor Ariza brought over when we traded for him. He was with the Orlando Magic, so maybe we can find a little gem trade like that. So you're right about that one, man. It's definitely somebody to look at and see if the Knicks are willing to budge on that. But we'll see. He said, I know this isn't Laker related, but you're not going to believe who the Cleveland Cavs hired as their assistant coach a couple of days ago. I saw it, man. If you know about it, I know about it too, Benjamin. Trust me, man. I'm a basketball junkie. Luke Walton, right? You're talking about Luke? Yeah, Luke Walton got hired. But this is what I'm saying. Some coaches, man, they're just privileged. They have like 9 lives in the NBA. That's why I wasn't worried about Frank Vogel. I'm sure he'll pick up an assistant coach job or maybe even a head coach job somewhere. I'm just glad we hired somebody that has put in the work and definitely is like overdue on deserving a coaching job, and that's Darvin Ham. But I wish Luke the best. I don't hate Luke. I hated him as a coach, as a Laker, because he did a disservice to this young team, right? I feel like they were underdeveloped and misutilized and stunted their growth, in my opinion, because you saw what they all did as soon as they left the Lakers. So it is what it is, man. Dan, you've been hooping in real life lately? Yeah, I went 2 days ago, man. Caught a couple games. My shot was on a couple of days ago, so I felt good. And when my shot is falling, everything opens up, man. Everything opens up. I'm talking, pump fake, drive, lefty hand finish. Everything opens up. This is like you start catching a rhythm, right? But here's a little tip I'm gonna give to the young street ballers out there, man, or even if you play for a basketball team. Your jump shot is as good as your handle. So if you have a rock handle, if the ball is like a string to your hand, like it's attached, it's going to help the rhythm of your jump shot. Also, squaring up and balance and all that matters, footwork. But that's like something, even as an older player, I'm still like realizing certain things like, whoa, my handle was on point. Like, I'm talking that day I was crossing people over and everything, and so was my shot. So, when you link those two together, you start balling, man. Cam Reddish, a Laker, that would be hard. Yes, it would. He said, Luke is their fall guy, LOL. I mean, he's on the Cavs. There's not a lot of expectation of the Cavs, and they're extremely young. I don't know what it is about Luke Walton that organizations think is really good. Maybe that he's young and he can relate to players and he's been a player. I don't know. But personally, for me, like, I felt like he got a coaching opportunity way too early, and he did not know what he was doing. That's why he lost 2 jobs in a row. The Lakers one and the Kings one. And the Kings fans were excited, talking about, y'all don't know what you lost with Luke Walton. I was like, wait till y'all see him, man. Just wait and look. Now they fired him, and now they could. I went to the Kings forums before, and they couldn't stand Luke Walton either. So sometimes be careful what you wish for. He said Lakers need to get younger and trade Westbrook. Yeah, but that might not happen this season. We might get younger via free agency. I really hope we re-sign our guy Malik Monk, right? Because he's young. He fits that mold. But as far as trading Westbrook, remember, teams are trying to swindle us, man. They're trying to get even up to 2 first-round picks for Russ. That's way too much, because this man can still help your team in some capacity. At least he can help sell tickets. I know there's franchises out there that don't really want to win championships. They just want to get star names and put butts in seats. He's perfect for that. So how come we can't trade him when, we gave up so much for him? It's because we're the Lakers. A, nobody wants to help us out, and B, when you look desperate, everybody wants to rip you off, especially because you're the Lakers. The Laker tax. So what I think is going to happen is we're going to give him a shot probably under Darvin Ham. If Darv can bring the best out of him, then there you have it. He'll play out the year, and his contract comes off the books. We're going to have a tremendous amount of salary cap once his contract comes off the books. All right. But if he doesn't play good, then maybe he'll get flipped halfway through the season. I think teams are more willing to take a gamble halfway through the season before the trade deadline, right? So the key here is not to show your hand, right? You want to have your poker face as a Laker franchise. Make sure nobody swindles you, nobody gets in over you, and you make the right moves. Because the last time we made a desperation move, and even I wanted it, we ended up with Russell Westbrook. And we gave up a lot. I'm talking about we gave up Trez, we gave up KCP, we gave up Kuz, and a first-round pick. Nah, that's way too much, y'all. That is way too much. So think about everything we give up, and they still want us to give up something just to unload Russell Westbrook. Talk about a double swindle. That's why the Lakers had to put their foot down and say, nope. If we have to hold on to him one more year, we'll hire a coach that we think can work with him maybe, and then we'll go from there. We got to be smart moving forward, guys. He said, Dan, I see the hunger in Darvin Ham's eyes. He said he has been salivating at an opportunity like this for years. He has that X factor with him, yet also seems very humble. This is a perfect hire. Absolutely. And the most important thing here is that you can tell he knows exactly what he's talking about. His X's and O's. I mean, the way he broke it down, immediately laid down everything out on the floor, on the table, and let us know exactly what he plans on doing, how he plans on doing it, and when he plans on doing it. Right away, he said, after talking to the superstars on the team, he felt like starting training camp immediately. So it's exactly the type of hunger we need from a head coach. Somebody who's passionate about helping the team improve, and somebody who cares about the franchise and respects the franchise and knows exactly what we're about. I'm not sure if even though Frank helped us to a title, and thanks for that, always Frank, but I'm not sure if he understood what this franchise stood for, because all I ever heard from him was excuses and stuff every time we were losing. 16 games in the 500. Shouldn't nobody be shocked he got fired? They talk about how we did him dirty and fired him without his consent or without letting him know ahead of time. Listen, you get fired, you get fired. If you get fired, you get fired. And that's the bottom line. It don't matter how you got fired. Bottom line is you didn't live up to expectations, high expectations always, and you got fired. Wish you the best, but there's no hard feelings when it comes to that kind of stuff. It's just we're heading in a different direction. Good luck. I'm sure you'll find another job elsewhere. You're a very decent coach. So he said, I was pushing for Russ, to be honest, 10 games in, but the team and Ham are playing it the right way. He said, build him up and hopefully get the best out of him and Max's value. Absolutely. Absolutely. Izzy, listen, that's the bottom line, brother, is we cannot, we cannot play all our cards just to appease a certain fan base. We can't do that. People are saying, trade him at all costs, trade him at all costs. No, not at all costs. We already gave up a lot to get him. We damn sure don't want to give a lot to get rid of him, right? Because then you have another little thing, Timothy Mozgov situation. We don't want that. We definitely don't want to stretch out his contract and have to pay an extra, $6 to $7 million a year. No, thank you. All of that stuff, none of that, right? The best thing we can do moving forward is exactly what the Lakers are doing. So I commend them on being mentally strong enough and not succumbing to certain side of the fan base's pressure of just unloading Russell Westbrook at all costs. And let's just see what happens moving forward. Now, if he continues to stink it up this way, then maybe my opinion will change early in the season to start off. But as of right now, I'm comfortable with the decision, and I'm curious to see where we go starting the season, right? He said, Rasheed Wallace is our coach, Dan. Who did we fire? We haven't fired. Frank Vogel is who we fired. We don't know what the final coaching staff is going to look like. Nothing is guaranteed yet. But, yeah, the rumor has it that Rasheed Wallace will be joining our staff. So, yes, very excited about that. But as far as firing other people, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if they're going to keep our guy, Phil Handy. I personally, you guys know how I've always felt about him. You guys love him as well. Phil Handy's a great player development coach. He might be one of the best in the league, if not the best. But Phil does want an assistant coach job. So if they don't upgrade him, maybe he'll go elsewhere. Who knows? Who knows? And there's going to be a lot of intrigue for him because he's well respected around the league. So that'd be the one move that might sting a little if he leaves it. But again, that's up to Darv, because at the end of the day, Darvin Ham is calling the shots. Maybe he has somebody else in mind. So we got to respect that decision. We can't have our cake and eat it too. We always criticize how the front office wants to take full control and not let these coaches hire who they want. Well, they're giving him that full power. They're stepping back. They're saying no more Kurt Rambis in the locker rooms. So that's what we wanted, and let's just let it play out. Let it play out. He said, I like Darvin Ham's response. He said, I like the four out and 1 in offense. I like how he is asserting every player on the team and giving them confidence. I like Ham being very blunt, unlike Frankie V. Yeah, that's what we needed. We needed some mental toughness, some strength, and we need somebody who can install that confidence back into these players, man. I saw too many times last year, as we all witnessed, we were hanging our heads, not getting back on defense, missing layups, obviously, jacking up poor shots in transition. I mean, I feel like this coach can really help them study film and see where we can improve in every aspect of the game, because he did talk about defense, but also offense, and how they correlate together. So It's going to be a very interesting rest of the offseason. I mean, it already started off with a bang. All right. I'm talking about we hit a 2 RBI double, man. And hopefully we continue to add to that because I want the Grand Slam. And you guys know what the Grand Slam is, right? We've finished filling out this coaching staff with high quality veteran ex-player type coaches or just people that have experience. And then we either make a trade for Russ and get the right piece, or we hopefully get some steal free agent signings in the offseason. So right now we hit a 2-hit RBI double. And if we continue this way this offseason, man, I think it's going to be a grand slam. But I don't want to get too ahead of myself, one step at a time. Darvin Ham came in like 50 Cent with a bullet in his face. Bruh, Reg. Listen, I didn't even know he got shot. I never knew that about him. So, man, God is good because the man not only survived, but he also strived for greatness. So, just how can you not respect a man like that, right? If you're a player or whoever, how can you not respect a man like that? Even Kobe had some high praise for Coach Darvin Ham. So, if you got Kobe in your corner, it's all good with me, man. Trust. He said, worst case, we will let him stay at home and or cut him, but we can't give up any assets, just trade him unless we get something very decent back in return. Absolutely, Israel. And listen, I'm not opposed to trading him, but the trade, like you said, has to be worth it for sure, man. The trade has to be worth it, and it has to be one of those things where we're all like everybody comes out winning. It could be a win for the whoever made the trade with us too. But we have to make sure we get a win out of whatever trade we do because, man, we've been taking L's lately, right? We've been taking L's in trades. We can't do that. The last good trade the Lakers made, the last official good one, was the Anthony Davis one because we got a chip out of it. But the Danny Green trade wasn't good either because, obviously, Dennis Schroeder didn't stick for very long, and we gave up a first-round pick, and Dennis was trash that year. So, yeah, we haven't made a good trade since the Anthony Davis trade. So we're due for one, right? We're due for one for sure. He said AD needs to go, in my opinion. Not available, no motivation, too complacent, wasting his talent. A couple of good role players, picks would be perfect. Role players and picks is all you want back for Anthony Davis after we gave up an all-star and Brandon Ingram, a starting caliber player for now, and Lonzo Ball, a really solid role player in Josh Hart, and like 3-4 first-round picks. That's all you want? Come on, man. Yeah, I can't make stupid trades like that. This isn't 2K, bro. Yeah, role players is not good enough. If I'm trading Anthony Davis, I better get one of the future faces of the league in return. That's how highly I think of Anthony Davis. And I get it, he's been injured lately, so there's a lot of recency bias. But in reality, Anthony Davis is still, when healthy, a top 5 player in this league. Keyword, when healthy, because this man can do it. What can he do? What can't he do that another top 5 player in this league can't? That'll be the question for you, man. Think about that. And think about that closely because don't just answer based off of emotion. I'm telling you, we don't win that bubble championship or Disney or Mickey or whatever you want to call it. We don't win that championship without Anthony Davis. That's the bottom line. And so if you're trading him, you better make sure you get some version of him in return. You better make sure you get some sort of future in return because you do. Listen, man, I'm glad a lot of y'all not GMs. Y'all ready to give this man up based off of recency bias. He said role players and picks? Please. No. He said, who would you like to add at the 3 or 4 spots? Stanley and Gabriel coming back? I don't know about Gabriel. I do think Stanley will for sure. I would love it if both of them came back. I mean, they provided a spark for us, and they fit the youth bill, right? Who would I like to add at the 3 or the 4? I mean, listen, I've said it. People disagreed with me. That's fine. PJ Tucker would be a huge addition for us. All right, at the 3. He can even play some small ball 4. Not that I want to see that, but I mean, PJ Tucker's a tough-minded player. He has experience, and Milwaukee wasn't the same without him, to be honest. That was a huge loss for them. So, yeah, I would definitely like to add a player like that personally. Now, there's obviously some younger options. There's other options as well around the league, but he's the one that stands out to me. If we can get a player like PJ, and he seems like the perfect candidate to come take a pay cut, try to win a championship, I'd be stoked. And I don't buy the too old thing because you still need some veterans on the team. You can't have every player that comes in here be super young, right? Ideally, yes, we need more young players, but we can make an exception for a guy like PJ. I mean, who wouldn't? I don't care if he's 34, 35, 36. Still has that experience. He's still a tough. He can still guard the best player on the opposing team, which is huge because now you're saving LeBron's energy for the offensive end, right? I mean, did you see the job this man did in that Milwaukee versus Brooklyn Nets series last year? Right? He didn't clamp up KD, but he made him work for every bucket. And yeah, he can hit them corner threes too. So yeah, why not? He said, Dan, I watched PJ Tucker this year instead of Drummond so badly. He said Milwaukee won the chip off that pickup. I wouldn't say off that pickup alone because they were, oh man, I'm telling you, Chris Middleton was huge for them that season. But yeah, he's definitely somebody who can contribute, and people just, I feel like we can be close-minded. Yes, we need to get younger, but that doesn't mean we can just turn away every veteran that can help us win. No. PJ Tucker, get a man like that in here with LeBron, with AD. Remember, we're building a defensive culture again. He fits right in. And he would be a great vet to mentor some of the younger players, the Austin Reeves of the world, right? The Malik Monks, the Stanley Johnsons, the THTs. You know, he can help them maybe find their niche a little bit better and stick to that instead of trying to force stuff, you know? So veterans, listen, people forgot how great Jared Dudley was as a veteran for us, even though he didn't get a lot of playing time, but just having him on the bench, having him at practice, having him there in the locker room. You know, these are guys that can really help change the morale and the identity of your team in a good way for sure. Any final questions before I get off, though, guys? That's going to wrap it up for my breakdown of Darvin Ham's, press conference review, and also Rasheed Wallace, man. Hopefully it becomes official. But yeah, I'm excited for both of those. And before I get off, I also want to give a major shout out to Prize Picks, man. Thank you guys for sponsoring me. Check them out. Promo code DTLF for the first time users. So definitely check that out. And let's see. He said, in your opinion, what would make this year successful with Russ? In my opinion, if Russell Westbrook buys in and he doesn't force the issue and gets tunnel vision, going 1-on-3 and stuff like that, that worked in OKC, man. It worked a little bit in Houston, maybe even in Washington. It's not going to work here. All right, we need Russ to buy in, play smart like he did in that short stint when LeBron James and AD were out. And again, I would love it if he came off the bench. That would be successful for me, and I think it would maximize everybody's potential. LeBron and AD, they already have that chemistry playing together off of each other, and they don't need another tunnel vision player on the starting lineup with them, in my opinion, right? Instead, if you can surround them with complementary pieces that can space the floor and help them with the spacing, that'd be much better. But again, I don't think I would mind. I don't think. Now, I'm going to say this because I gave him too much confidence. I was too confident in Russ last year when we acquired him. So I don't want to be wrong again, but I'm going to say I don't think Russ off the bench will hurt us as much. I hope I'm right about that because I think we're going to see it at some point. Yeah, that would be a successful season for me. Great question, by the way. He said, I think we should definitely keep AD at least until we know what Brown will decide to do after next season. Facts. I agree with that. I agree with that for sure. Dan, do you like the Pacers trade for Russ? Yeah, if we can get valuable role players like that, of course. I'm all for it. I'm all for it, man. But I don't want John Wall, right? I don't want a player who's also been injured, and we have to give up a first-round pick with that. It just doesn't make sense to me. He said, DTLF, did you hear Rambis will be barred from many practice sessions? Deuces, Rambis. Yeah, we talked about that a little earlier in the video, bro. And I think that's huge. That's huge. You allow a coach to come in here and be himself freely, and that can vote extremely well, right, for your team moving forward because they know who the leader is. They know who to look to instead of having multiple voices in that locker room. So, yeah, for sure. He said the Lakers need Al Horford. Yeah, I don't even care. He's old. The way he's been playing, spacing the floor, playing excellent defense, rebounding. I mean, just doing veteran-type championship-style things. Those are the things veterans do that they elevate their game because they've been there. They have experience, lots of years of experience in the playoffs. They elevate their game in the postseason, and they get to another level that it propels your team. That experience helps. We saw with Rondo in the bubble, right? We saw Rajon Rondo. He was struggling during the season. People even wanted to cut him. I was like, no, hold on to him, Playoff Rondo's a real thing. And what happened? He was phenomenal in the playoffs. So again, that's the thing about veterans. Same thing happened with Wesley Johnson. Even though we lost that year versus the Suns, Wesley Johnson really ramped up his style of play. He struggled early in the season. People were talking about cutting him as well. I was like, I don't know. He's a veteran. I would like to see what he can do in the postseason. And what happened, right? He was huge in the play-in game. Right before the play-in, the last couple games, he was huge in that one. And then he was even huge in the Phoenix Suns series. I mean, his defense was phenomenal. I even thought they were going to bring him back. So again, some veterans elevate their game even more in the postseason. So you can't really fully evaluate them throughout the course of the regular season, because then what happens is you're discrediting their experience and you might miss out if the team cuts them, right? But anyways, guys, it's going to wrap it up for me. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, man. Again, huge dubs in the chat, man, for Coach Darvin Ham and potentially Rasheed Wallace as well joining the staff. So we kicking off this summer with a banger. The Lakers doing everything they have to do to get better, and let's see how we continue. Again, I want the Grand Slam this offseason. I want the Lakers to hit it out the ballpark. If they can continue this in this direction, I think they will get there. Thank you guys so much. Don't forget to smash the like button. Music coming on the way. Most likely this week I'll drop something. Been working hard, man. So hopefully you guys enjoy that. And I will see you guys here on the next one. All right. Have a great rest of your day.